evening and welcome to Gooner Gathering. I am your host, GoonerLeeMeads, joined again by the poshest man in sports entertainment, PoshBertie. How are you, sir? It's good to see you again.
I am doing very good, and I think we have a run-in. I think Laurie wants to come in.
Okay, fair enough.
Actually, I don't know if you saw. Yeah, I'm
That's
doing great,
professional.
thank you. I've currently got a cat running in, but yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
Mate, I am doing really well. I'm actually buzzing. I've had a really busy day, and honestly, I've only been home for about an hour, but I wanted to jump on Gooner Gathering to address a lot of stuff that's going on. There is a lot of stuff to cover tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm so grateful for everybody to be here with us. I can already see a couple of people watching us already, and thank you very much for watching us. There are a few comments going on as well, which I'll jump in and say hello to. Jordan says, hey, brother. Hello, Jordan. It's nice to see you again. Niall Kane says hello. Good evening, lads. What a signing Edu is delivering. Well, that's very interesting. Let me just make sure that's all clear. There we go. We have got a lot to talk about because it has become very apparent to me, PoshBertie, that the so-called big wigs, the so-called ones that really know what's going on, are watching our streams, and as soon as we go off air, stuff happens. So, as you know, this happened with Kai Havertz the other day. Happened very much like yesterday. We went off air. We had a fantastic stream yesterday, and literally about half hour after we went off air, David Ornstein was the one to break it first and foremost. Very, very much closely followed by Fabrizio Romero, who clearly had the tweets left on his drafts, saying all together now, here we go. Declan Rice, fee agreed, structure agreed. Arsenal have been given permission to have the medical for Declan. And as I very much have been saying, hello KB Sports, that's a great name to have with us again. Hashtag Rice baby. I can't tell you how excited I am to report this news. And as I've always told you all on my channel, guys, it's never in doubt.
Yeah, I'm when it's properly confirmed, when Arsenal announce it, I need to we are going to have to do a rice eating stream, aren't we? I'm going to have to
I think so, mate.
Or something. Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is why people should watch this channel, because David Ornstein watches it, Fabrizio watches it,
They're
people
all
at
watching
Sky Sports watching it. It's clear because when we finished it, Ornstein reported it, and yeah, I'm finally glad that payment terms are finally agreed, because it was something I was concerned about. Because whilst it was all the money, the bid was accepted and everything, there was still these payment issues, and I thought, wouldn't it be the most Arsenal thing to happen if a transfer that's already accepted is failed because of little payment issues? But it's not the case. Yeah, this was our number one target. This was the guy we wanted to have. And you mean the cat? No,
Cat's ready to attack you.
Hetty is anyway.
Can I just say it's so
um,
nice to have Hetty with us tonight. Good evening, Hetty.
Laurie.
It's lovely to have you here. How are you
There
today?
you go. Huh?
How's Hetty today?
She's all right. You know, she was although a few days ago there was a big mouse in the house, wasn't there?
Oh no!
I don't know if it was either you or Laurie. We don't know who the culprit was, but that was taken care of. But yeah, apart from that, it's all right. Yeah. Anyway, Declan Rice. I'm glad he's our number one target. We've signed him. Yeah, and
hold on.
which we'll get to in a minute.
Sounds like you're getting too excited. So we're at the stage where all the fees are agreed, the payments are all agreed.
Yeah.
I don't know for certain that the medical has been done yet. I don't know for certain, but what I do know is it's looking really promising. And when you get a Fabrizio, here we go.
No, that's a rat, KB. Oh no, that's Bruno Fernandes, I think.
Oh,
anyway,
meow.
No, carry on.
But oh, mate, I've got to tell you, and I've been saying this. I've been saying this on our channel and amongst others. I brought this story up. Let me tell you, and boys and girls, if you're not already subscribed to Luca AFC, please do so, because I think I might have been the first person to say, do you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I'd really fancy having Declan Rice in our squad this is in the January window.
Yeah, there was just little rumours and scatterings at the time, wasn't there?
Do you know what? I never even talked about at that stage on that Lucas stream I did on that Saturday night. I remember it so clear. And big shout out to Luca, and I'll tag you in the description later on, mate, because you deserve it. You're a good guy.
Whilst he's not winding people up on Twitter.
He's a good lad. He's all right. He's not Luca. But and I've said this all the way through. I thought it sounded like a really sensible move. Do you know what? It potentially is so much. I mean, he's been at West Ham 10 years. I think he's been playing as skipper for the last season since Mark Noble retired at West Ham. I think he's such an influential player. I think he is a ball winner. His stats are incredible. I've been reading a load of them. I've tried to share them on our Twitter page as and where I can. It's an exciting signing. It's also potentially an England captain one day as well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I would say that if he ended up anywhere else, honestly. Declan Rice, absolute quality. And it really, really excites me to see this potentially, I'm going to say potentially happening. If this does go through in the next day or so, I don't think we'll come back on just to say it's been done, because the social media would have done it for you. But when you get a Fabrizio, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, I think you'd understand. That's why I'm super excited, and as I am right now. So
because for the first time in ages, I think do you think the last time we signed our number one priority target was when we signed Alexis Sanchez?
Do you know what? You might be right. You might be right. But then it feels to me, Posh, like we're in kind of a different ball game now. It
Compared
feels to me,
the club is. I think the club is run a lot differently, which I think is hopefully encouraging.
What I think is that I'm sort of the strong belief that Arsenal obviously have had a real tough issue over the last few seasons where we've not had Champions League football. And I think it's been a real struggle since we moved to the Emirates, to be honest. But what I will say is that I think Arsenal have addressed situations. The big wage earners have left, the likes of Ozil and Aubameyang, I would suggest, are the two main ones that I'm thinking of here. I think they've sort of restructured. They went through the Europa thing, and in all fairness, it might not have necessarily gone as fruitful as we would have liked, but there was a plan there, and that plan, as I've said consistently, was to try and get us towards that Premier League. Now, we didn't go there. We didn't pick up that trophy, and I agree with you that ultimately judging success is picking up trophies. Absolutely agree with that. But what I do think right now is that Arsenal are in a position right now where we can compete financially with a lot of them big clubs, like Manchester City, for example. I think us and Manchester City, for example, are only one of a couple of clubs that are probably operating in the black right now. Because Arsenal have
I think
always...
Man City are a little bit richer than us, though. They've got that oil money, haven't they? But...
It doesn't matter what they are doing. But in all seriousness, right? I think that we are operating, because we've managed to get that wage bill down, and that long-term thing about Aubameyang. When I made my YouTube debut way back in January last year,
Barcelona saga.
the Barcelona saga, where all right, it was a free transfer, but saved us an absolute fortune on blimmin' wages. And look how Aubameyang's career from that point on has moved forward.
Nothing personal. Right? Yeah.
Nothing personal, but it's really interesting that we've got to a point now where we have to be considered serious contenders. Probably not where we expected to be last season. Would you agree with me on that one? You wouldn't have expected to be
last
where
season. I did not expect us to challenge for the title. I will admit, I expected us to be like fourth. So
right,
yeah,
absolutely right.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking that we are in a position now where we can compete. That's a new name for me. Arsenal Manic.
Arsenal Manic. What's up with the left-back position? Timber is a right-sided player. Zinchenko can't defend. Here. And Tierney is out of favour. What should be done? Well, we were discussing, I think, a few videos ago that there were rumours going. I'll put your comment back. Rumours are going around that we could potentially be changing formation. We could be going to a back three, perhaps Tierney in the centre-back position, and maybe putting Zinchenko in midfield alongside Rice. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's just me playing FIFA in my head and just being all tactical. But I don't know. Maybe it could work.
Option I said to you? The other option I said was perhaps operating Zinchenko in that left kind of wing-back position where he does kind of go into that midfield role. And then if you have them three, so potentially Tierney, who I do think is going to stay. I really think that. Saliba, who is training, by the way, as we mentioned yesterday, is training now. I don't know if he's going to be good to go, but it's nice to see him running. That's a good start. I think we'll probably agree on that one. Then to have him alongside Gabriel, and then either Ben White or potentially someone else who we might talk about in a minute. That's what I think we're going to do. And I do think it's almost feels like, now I'm very much old school, as you probably can tell by the lack of hairline. Right.
It's all right. Same here.
You're cool, mate. I will come to that in a minute. But I think what Arsenal have done here is addressing a midfield issue, which I think really needed dealing with, particularly if Xhaka is about to leave. As we said yesterday, Kayan Kanyak, I think is how you pronounce him, is really good journalist who I've been following and for a long time, saying that there's a fee agreed and it's a relatively high fee for someone who's got is in his last year of contract, and at 30 years old, if he's about to leave to buy a Leverkusen. So having Rice come in on that one, and then having a bit of a shifty round on the old tactics front, I think is quite exciting. I find it quite hard to come away from a back four, but then that's because That's what I was brought up on. I
Mm.
was brought up on having Nigel, Stevie Bold, Tony Adams and Lee Dixon, having a nice solid four, and that's what I like. But here's the thing. I've gradually become to accept this, although I find it hard sometimes, is that the game has evolved a little bit. And you look at what Man City did last season and how they played. They were almost playing like only 3 defenders, playing about 4 midfielders and playing about 3 up top or something. It's just madness, but that's what they do.
Yeah, I've got Ivan Toney or too much baggage with him. I don't think we'll be signing Ivan Toney anytime soon for obvious reasons.
You conclude your thing, and I'll address that.
Okay. I've got 2 examples of why, and this is one that you've mentioned as well, of how a back 3 could work. And I mentioned this in another video when Conte won the league with Chelsea. When Conte was in charge of Chelsea in his first season. And it was during the game against us when he lost, I think, 3-1 or 3-0.
3-0,
He actually thought, this formation I've got ain't working. I got to change it up. And he went to very much an attacking back 3 formation, and he got the best out of David Luiz, which was like, what? But he actually was
had him operating like an old-fashioned sweeper kind of role, didn't he? So he was sort of coming out of that back 3
than he was in a back 4, and he won the league with that formation. And also Pep, I think since when he lost to Tottenham, I think he changed to a back 3 with 2 defensive midfielders. He put John Stones as a DM along with Rodri, and that worked wonders as well. So I'm not saying we're going to be like Man City, as much as I hope we will be, but I don't know if I have it with me, a potential team lineup, but it was Saliba, Gabriel, and Timber or Tierney at the back, and Rice and either Zinchenko or Partey, Lavia if we get him in midfield. I don't know.
Good evening, Liam. Thank you for joining us. That's a brand new name for me as well. So thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoy what we're doing, and please, if you could be so kind, everyone who's watching, and there's a few numbers in there. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely for free. Myself and all my guys here at Gooner Gathering are doing as much regular content as we possibly can while trying to work our way through everyday life struggles, if you understand what we're saying. So thank you all, and we appreciate every single one of you. We are growing into a fantastic YouTube channel, and we'll keep on growing throughout the season. I'll address the Ivan Toney thing now. So Ivan Toney, too much baggage with him at the moment? Unfortunately, absolutely. Ivan Toney, in terms of watching him playing for Brentford, really reminds me of an old school Ian Wright playing.
Very good player.
Exceptional finisher, got them instincts that you can't teach, right? Unfortunately, when you're dealing with a player that is betting against your own team, who he shouldn't be doing what he shouldn't be doing anyway, but is betting against your own team, do you know what? I'm afraid, sorry, I can't be dealing with you. And I'd be really interested to get inside of a Brentford dressing room right now. I'm being absolutely serious here, and saying, what are them other guys thinking? In that Brentford side who did so blinking well over the last couple of years to get a promotion to the Premier League and to establish themselves into a really good position. They were fantastic last season. We might not like it because, of course, what happened to us. Particularly, you know what I'm thinking of. That
the first game of the season. Yeah.
The game when the referee forgot to play, you know, how the rules work with the old VAR.
Oh, yeah.
But unfortunately, because of Tony's ban, I think a lot of clubs are going to be saying, nah, it ain't even worth it. I don't even know how Brentford can continue to employ that man, frankly. That is just my view. It's not the view of PoshBertie or anybody else. This is just my view. I honestly think Brentford will be well in their rights to dismiss that guy, and I encourage the FA to say, no, you can't be doing this. That is my controversial view on that one. What would you like to say on that one, Posh? I know we didn't discuss this, but
look, Ivan Toney is a fantastic striker. He's scored goals for fun at Brentford, but obviously with the betting, that's a big, looming shadow that's going on, and we can't really have more players with shadows looming over them, if you know what I mean.
Great point. Great point. I think we all know what we're alluding to.
Yeah.
In the interest of my channel keeping PG and everything like that, we all know what we're talking about. We won't address that. But what I will address is the fact that I do agree that Arsenal are a little bit light still with centre forwards. I think you're absolutely right there. What I do think is they're wanting to get these other deals. So the Rice deal over the line. I'll bring up another one in just a minute as soon as I finish what I'm saying here. I think they wanted to prioritise that before heading into getting other strikers. Bear in mind as well that Martinelli is fit, or it certainly seems to be running, which is great, because I was concerned when he went off and we didn't see him for the last couple of games of the season. I was concerned it was another bad injury. Doesn't seem like that's the case. Yeah. And for the criticism that Eddie Nketiah gets sometimes, and I understand it, I genuinely understand
Balogun's the better striker, in my opinion.
Okay. And Posh, that is why I love having you here, because you have a different opinion on me than me. And
that's a good shout. Victor Osimhen, I think that's how he's called.
I know exactly who that
Very
is.
Very good striker, but the issue is we've maxed out a lot of our transfer budget on Rice, so I don't know if we'll be able to afford him. I'm not sure. But if we get him, that'll be miraculous. But I think it's unlikely.
I think it's a great
I'd love to
shout.
have him at the club, though. Love to. Brilliant striker.
I think it's a great shout. I think the club will be generating other funds. If you recall, a couple of weeks ago, I said, and I pretty much quote, that I think we'll have a lot of people coming in. I think we'll have a lot of people coming out, right? And I think it's probably fair to assume that on top of Xhaka going, which I do think is going to happen, and I think, although it's unfortunate, I think it is a family decision, and I respect that. And I'll say thank you very much, Granite, and best wishes to you and your family. Hope everything goes well for you over there. I would think a lot of the players that went out on loan will probably leave the club, and I'm thinking primarily of Nuno Tavares, right? Been talk about him going to West Ham.
Okay.
Who knows that could possibly happen?
Should we ask them to pay 106 million just to wind him up? No, we won't do that. But as I said, there is still some dead wood in the squad. Tavares, Lokonga, Cedric. Those are three I can instantly think of that I think we should be looking to offload.
See, some people will argue that they'd seen something out of Lokonga. I'm not necessarily one that would have done. I think he had a few good moments before getting into the proper stuff for Premier League games, etc.
Yeah.
My initial feeling is they'll probably let Lokonga go out on loan again, that as well as Fabio Vieira. That is my feeling.
Yeah, I would loan Vieira. I'd loan
Cedric,
him to the gym.
Cedric, you just mentioned, I think had a part to play in the squad, possibly a couple of years ago. Luca, nice to see you in our chat. I gave you a massive shout out about 5 minutes ago, my friend. So I hope you're doing well.
We've got a lot of comments coming in.
I see
KB Sports saying Balogun has the higher ceiling, which is why he's more likely to move on, but he will also give Jesus stiff competition for his starting place. I agree. I think what Balogun's done in France, I think, it's very promising. I said much like Saliba. When you go in, players that go into the French league, they improve. I think it's quite similar. Nketiah, I've seen enough to think he ain't good enough. He has had quite a few years here. He does have a point.
He has had a few years here, but he also had a few good moments as well. I see that, Jordan. Like I said to you a bit ago, I'll try and give you a bell in a bit, mate. All right?
Yeah.
Marquinhos is not a name I had thought about for a little while.
He was on loan at Matt Roberts' favourite club, Norwich. In January.
And, again, had a few moments, but not really tearing up trees.
No. You need timber to do that.
It's almost like I set you up for that.
Oh, well done.
Thank you.
Nicola Pepe. I heard he was going to Saudi Arabia. He was almost very likely to leave. I thought it was going to happen. He was going to Saudi Arabia.
Oh, no, I haven't heard that. Have you? Where have you heard that from, please?
The internet.
Okay, so not like Fabrizio.
Not like a Fabrizio or anything. But I thought that because I don't think Pepe. He was quite in his first season. Yeah, can't speak. There were times
had moments
where he did have a lot of moments, and I did actually rate him. But I think Arteta just doesn't fit. He doesn't fit his system, which is a bit annoying, really. But I think he is more likely to go off to Saudi Arabia. KB Sports says Marquinhos will go out on loan, and Pepe, I think his contract will get terminated. That's what I was referring to. Yeah, as well.
That would be a hefty sum to terminate.
Yeah,
I would think
that's my concern there.
I think personally, without being in and out of the club all the time, they will be looking to offload Pepe. I think there'll be people wanting to pay for him. But what I don't think is that £72 million, I would say it's current transfer record until I see a contract. Hello, Dill Boy. It's nice to see you there, mate. It's a name I do know very well. Hello, mate. I don't see us regaining. I think like all the money on Pepe. I do think we will take a hefty loss on him. I don't think it's worth terminating him. Sell Nketiah to Wrexham. That's interesting.
Ryan Reynolds.
I'd rather not sell him to Wrexham. And I'll tell you why I don't want to sell him to Wrexham, because I'm a very old man and I hold grudges against Wrexham.
What, with the FA Cup?
Yes.
Well, if anyone can get the best out of Nketiah, it's Ryan Reynolds. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. But at the moment, I might divide opinion here. And guys, this is what's fun about YouTube and about us being in front of a camera and expressing our views. I actually think Nketiah is probably better placed than Balogun. And I'll tell you why. I think it's because Nketiah has had moments in the Premier League when he's done a really decent job. You've got to remember when Jesus got injured for that long period and everyone was panicking, oh, we are out the title race and everything like that. And it was a big old chunk of games that Jesus missed. I won't say that he tore up the trees in the goal-scoring department, boys and girls. Hello, Spencer. It's nice to see you there, my friend. But But what I will say is he did a really good job whilst like sort of leading the line. Other people like Martinelli and Saka, for example, were scoring a lot of goals. I do think we would really require another striker. But as I said about 5 minutes ago, I think Arsenal really wanted Rice over the line. I think they wanted Havertz over the line because it's a player that clearly Arteta believed in. And clearly they wanted to get another defensive option over the line, which is where we'll carry on from here, if you like, because we've had a second here.
Can I also say on that note, of course, people say, oh, we need a striker. And I do kind of agree on that. But we also, Arsenal have been known and are very good at scoring lots of team goals from players in all kinds of positions.
Yeah.
We have a bit of a habit of holding players far too long. Hope they all come some good someday. Although protecting their value, what value? Come on, let's raise standards and get to the top again.
Do you know what? That's where we want to be, boys and girls. And there's a lot of people in the chat, so nice to see every single one of you here. I think we are at a point now, ladies and gentlemen, where we are looking to get back into them standards where we were prior.
And the standards are going to be high from all aspects of fans this next season. So it's going to be really interesting to see what will happen if, who knows what may happen.
I agree with you. My gut feeling is obviously that we have got to such a point where we're on the cusp, if you like, of picking up that Premier League trophy, which all of us have craved since I mean, I probably had long blonde hair back then. But look, we came so close, and we need to be keeping up there, and we need to be trying to grab them trophies away from Manchester City. We need to be doing that. That's why we are getting players like Rice in, because there's a high bar there. That's what I think. And with Rice as well, it's funny, you know, because you kind of thinking of him as an established Premier League player. Has been around a long time, but he's only about 23 or 24.
Yeah.
So and you probably have got the best to come from him. I think we've seen him operate mainly as a 6 at West Ham. I think he's got every single ability to go even further forward, as and when required.
Can you see him playing in Xhaka's position then?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially. I do think there's going to be a lot of chopping and changing around the midfield place, because it'll have to be, because we are going to have so many competitions to aim high at. I don't think that we're going to approach Champions League like we seem to have approached the Europa League. I think there's very, very different prestige in that competition. I think that if Arsenal go into Champions League football and throw in a second string lineup, for better words, at it, I don't think that'll be accepted, frankly. With the Europa League, do you know what? I did get it. I did kind of get where he was coming from in it. And I know it was disappointing and heartbreaking. And we covered it. We were there when we went out on penalties. But ultimately, does the Europa League, does the Europa Conference, for that matter, have that prestige of that Premier Champions League trophy?
I think a European trophy is always nice, obviously, and as long as we're in a particular competition, it's good to win it. And that's why I say, for a club like West Ham to win the Europa Conference League, I think that's a remarkable achievement for them. And we've technically got we've got 2 European champions in our team. We've got Rice and Jorginho. So, what's it? Arsenal Manic also thinks that Nketiah is awful. And I think... And he also says we need a team of world-class players to be top dogs again, the big dogs, if you will. Also, with over 700 million that Arteta has spent at Arsenal, I think owners won't give him another chance and need to deliver now. And this is what I think is interesting, because with all fan people in our fan base, both on the positive and more of the negative side. The standards are going to be high next season because people are going to expect us to challenge for the title or win a domestic cup at least. If that doesn't happen and we end up underachieving, it'll be interesting to see if more of the positive fans end up turning on Arteta. So that's something I think could potentially be a scenario, because I think a lot of if we end up underachieving and going trophyless this season, I think there'll be a lot more Arteta out people than there were in the tail end of this season.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Well, let's move the conversation along a little bit, because I'm very aware that all of a sudden, Posh, do you know what? This is what makes this a pleasure for me, sir, is talking to you for 35 minutes.
I never said I wanted Arteta to go this season. I never said that. But I'm not. Those aren't like. I'm talking about potentially other people, maybe not just me.
Oh yeah, mate. I totally get you. What I was going to say there was, it's such a pleasure talking to you. I hadn't even realised that we've been going just over half an hour already, and I've still got a whole heap of stuff.
You were going to talk about Timber, weren't you?
I was going to talk about Timber.
Let's do it.
So let's do that. A second here we go of the day from Fabrizio. It's a story that we've been talking about, covering over the last probably week and a half, I guess. Seems to have developed in the same stage as the Declan Rice deal. So it seems like they've agreed a fee and structure for that deal. My understanding on that contract for Timber, by the way, this might take us back a little bit, signing up until 2028.
Oh my God, we've taken the Chelsea approach. That's actually a 5-year contract. I know it's hard to believe that 2028 is in 5 years' time, and it makes us all feel old. But a 5-year contract.
But it's exciting again. My understanding from what I'm hearing of the people that really know what they're talking about is that they are looking at Timber playing right back rather than anything else, which does give a lot of competition to the likes of Benji White and Tomiyasu, etc. But I think that's good because we need that squad depth to be able to compete throughout all them competitions: Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup, and Premier League. What do you think to that one?
We need. I think Timber is a fantastic player. He was not linked with us in the past. In January, he was more likely to go to Man United. But suddenly, I saw that, and he is. On my birthday of all days, suddenly David Ornstein out of nowhere, exclusive Arsenal link with Timber. And I thought, oh, there you go, good birthday present for me, along with Saka getting a hat trick. And
excuse me, and
on the day we met up in Chelmsford, to celebrate my birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to be appreciated, isn't it, boys and girls? You know what I mean?
It always is. But it was about me that day.
It was about you, and we had a jolly nice time in the sun on that. In that pub in Malsham Street, we had a jolly nice time.
But I'm excited about the arrival of Jurriën Timber. I think he is, from what I've seen. I'll be honest, I don't watch much Ajax games, but from what I've seen, I do think he's a very good defender, and a lot of other people think so as well. So I'm just going to go with that. It'll be interesting to see where he's played though, because he's very versatile. He can play in all kinds of positions: right back, centre back, even you're thinking what I'm thinking, aren't you? Even midfield. I think he is probably more suited as a centre back. If he goes at right back, then it will be Lee Meadows' favourite tactic, the inverted right back. Sorry for swearing.
No, dude, it's fine. I've come to a point now where I realise that I have to adapt a little bit as well. I'm so old-fashioned, I'm afraid. I find it very hard to shift a back four in front of me. If I've got something in 2 seconds.
Oh no, it's nothing.
Yeah, okay.
So
okay.
KB Sports says the last time we saw Timber play right back, he got dusted by Mbappe. That's why I said I think he's probably more suited as a centre back role, maybe.
But when we get Mbappe in our squad as that primary centre forward that we've been talking about 10 minutes ago, I don't think there'll be a problem because I don't think there's anyone who can compete to that sort of level.
Yeah, we'll definitely get Mbappe, won't we? You definitely buy into those rumours.
Do you know what? I've heard so much stuff, and it's not even worth the paper that some of it's written on. To be honest, is it? We'll ignore it for now, but you know what we've seen, right?
Someone can just say, like, someone with a lot of followers on Twitter can say, "Oh my God, Arsenal are linked with Erling Haaland," and some fans would believe it. You know, let's just be a bit,
we'll just
bit more realistic when it comes.
Do you know what that's what I love about Gooner Gathering as a whole, right? We keep it all very, very real here. We're all of us on the team, all 5 of us that are the official members of Gooner Gathering. We're very much real people we're all very much, exactly, KB Sports.
Those weren't his words. Those are words I've seen from some of the more happy-go-lucky Arsenal fans on Twitter that we see.
I mean, it'd be a nice dream, wouldn't it? But let's be realistic, right? It ain't, nah, mate. Very much in the way that I said to PoshBertie about 2 weeks ago when he was saying Declan Rice to Manchester City, here we go. And when I said very clearly, nah, mate, I'm saying no, mate, on Mbappe.
Right there.
Do you know what? I hope I am. I hope I am right. Because it very much shows ambition, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we've covered Timber, we've covered Rice. I think what we need to do, I'll just briefly cover over this one, because not wanting to put a whole heap of expectations on a really young player. But it's a player that got a lot of exposure, a lot of people talking, and had a lot of rumours going around. And this is the midfield player Ethan Nwari. Is the 16-year-old who about it must have been really at the early end of the season. Must have been about October time. We were cannon chatter at that time, right?
Yeah.
And he made a brief cameo against Brentford in that 3-0 win. So there was a lot of rumours going around that he might leave the club. Today, we've had the official line out of Arsenal, as well as a lot of other young kids that have signed their whatever it is, their
academy contracts or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So Ethan has extended his contract as a scholar. That's the word I'm looking for.
Oh yeah.
My understanding as well is that when he becomes 17, he'll be signing a professional form as well. So that's the agreement on that one. Important to bring that around because there was lots of talk about him potentially leaving to go to Chelsea. I won't dwell on this one very much, but we see what happened to Hutchinson, who left Arsenal youth team to go to Chelsea last season, and he hasn't surfaced since. I'm just gonna say that I wonder if the poor lad has any regrets about making that decision. The other bit of confirmed news I think has happened today is the Reiss Nelson contract that's been given an AOK done. Reiss Nelson signed a 4-year contract. He's rejected bids from Italy, France, and other Premier League clubs. I think this is good news because it gives Saka a bit of cover. It gives us a little bit of knowledge that we've got someone we can rely on. Had such an impact on so many games over last season. perhaps there's more to come from him as well. That's what I'm thinking. Poch, what do you think?
Yeah, I do quite like Reece Nelson. I think the tail end of the season when we were on the slippery slope, I think he was one of the few players that actually tried and actually made, even though he came off the bench very, very late on, he tried to make somewhat of an impact. And I think that's very, I think that was very good of him. I'm surprised that he re-signed. I thought he'd be going to another club. I thought he'd be moving on. I could see him going to maybe a mid-table Premier League club like a Fulham or somewhere like that. But I think I don't mind it. I don't mind him re-signing. While some people would want maybe, and this is, I'm not being disrespectful to Reece Nelson, some people might want a more experienced player to cover for Saka. I don't know.
A bigger name, I think, is what you're trying to say. Yeah.
But I don't know. Considering Reece's form last season when he was actually quite good, I don't mind it. It'll be interesting to see how he does, I think, next season.
Yeah, very much so. I think there's a lot more to come from Reece Nelson. That's my feeling. I've got two more things I want to sort of briefly go through. Then we'll wrap this up because I'm very aware we've been on there for 3/4 of an hour, which is far longer than I anticipated. But I've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed having everybody there in the chat as well. Let's take it to the England under-21s briefly. Let's wrap that up in terms of it was the last game, I think, in the group today. And it was Israel 0, England 3. Morgan Gibbs-White, of course, of Forest. Cole Palmer, who's on his way out from Manchester City. I think that's quite widely known. Striker, now I'm not quite sure I know this name very clearly, but Cameron Archer scored the third goal, meaning that England, with Emil Smith-Rowe in tow, progresses again. Really exciting to see how this England under-21 side will progress. KB Sports saying Saka needs to rest. Nelson will be good backup, but it's not really the competition for Saka. Getting Diaby. Yeah, Moussa
Diaby, that is. Not
Dembele, I think is what you mean. We'll put the cat amongst the pigeons. Semi-finals, not group stages. It was semi-finals. Thank you, KB Sports. I stand corrected. Yeah. Look, I've had a blinking long day and I've hardly spent 2 seconds sitting down. But I wanted to come on air, ladies and gentlemen, because I love doing this. All right? Give me a bit of leeway if you don't mind, please. Thank you.
No, I think the player Moussa Diaby. There is a player, not Dembele, but I do know who KB Sports is talking about. Not to be confused with Abu Diaby, the former midfielder for us, who got injured pretty much every day. But yeah.
Fair enough. I think the last thing I wanted to talk about today is the talk coming around of one Santi Cazorla. Midfield maestro, I think we both have a lot of affinity for. Has been spent, after we left Arsenal, of course, with horrible injuries, as we all remember. He went back to Villarreal, didn't he? I think he's been playing in Saudi Arabia, if I'm not mistaken. I believe his contract is now up. There's a bit of talk about him returning to Arsenal, not as a player, because I think that would be a bit ridiculous at this stage, but as a coach to work alongside Arteta and alongside Wilshere and the like. Sorry, I'm just seeing Fabrizio Romero talk about Rice again. But I'll come. I'll look. Oh, don't no. Wouldn't it be just brilliant? Just throw eggs all over my face like that. Oh. You'd love to see it. But
after poking the stick at me today, it'll come back to bite, won't it?
Wouldn't it just? But mate, thoughts on Cazorla potentially looking up to potentially starting his coaching career?
Yeah, I used to be young like Bertie. Believe me, I don't feel young. I tell you that. After supporting Arsenal, I don't feel young. I can tell you that now.
Yeah.
We used to be one of the best teams in world football. I, along with other Arsenal fans, were told we all moved to the Emirates to compete with Bayern and Barca. Well, we did
I remember.
technically compete with Bayern Munich, but we lost 10-2 to them. So
we'll kind of avoid that.
Mm.
But look, as I said a little bit ago, my feeling is that, look, I know what we were promised, and I know where that line comes from as well.
Yeah.
I do think I'm really of that belief, and you can call me all the names under the sun as long as they're PG, because it's our channel, and I do like to keep it PG if I can. That we are on that way again to achieving them levels that we did before.
I hope so.
In terms of, I remember I was there watching Thierry Henry go past everyone at Real Madrid. I was there when we came so close to beating Barcelona. And you know what? I think we're on another step further forward than we were a few years ago, boys and girls. I really think that there's a belief amongst these players and amongst this squad, and certainly amongst some of the fan base. I think that we're back to being a serious club again. I think we've had enough of having the jokes around us a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's up to the team to make us that serious club and perform, turn up when it matters.
KB Sports knows our gimmick, mate.
I know, I saw it. I assume he means Fabio Vieira when he's talking about Brock Lesnar's dietary requirements. I was saying this. He needs to, if anything, he needs to get on the old Ico Pro. Good job.
Go again. Ico Pro. You got to want it.
He needs it.
Absolutely.
But that's I don't know if you saw my comment that I made when I said I'd loan Fabio Vieira out. I said I'd loan him out to the gym, and that's coming from me.
There you go. Well, listen, boys and girls, listen. I think we'll wrap it up about there, because I think we've pretty much covered everything that we need to do today. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's been here watching us right now. Anyone who might be watching us in the future on demand. Isn't YouTube wonderful? Our videos over the last week or so have done some extraordinary numbers, and I'm very, very grateful for every single one of you who hit a like, hit a subscribe, and all that sort of jazz. So we will be back at some stage very soon, I'm sure. But what I will do right now is throw the social medias up there. PoshBertie, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PoshBertie, and you can find me on Instagram at BertieOneless.
You can find me at GoonerLeeMeads. You can find all of us on the channel at Gooner Gathering. Find us on the TikTok channel as well. And boys and girls, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've been talking for nearly an hour. How we done that unscripted, I'm not sure, but we love doing that, and we shall continue to do so. So we shall see you soon. Take care of yourselves, and we shall see you soon.